Hi, I'm Janine Firpo. In this demo, I'm going to show you a little bit about how to use the Public Equities Holdings Worksheet that you can download from the activateyourmoney.net website. It's in the Chapter 7 section of that website. This is the first tab of that particular worksheet or workbook, and it is the Instruction tab. So we're going to just pop over this and go to the second tab, which is My Public Equities. And this is where you would enter your own information. And I've given you videos previously that show you how to pull the kind of information that is identified here in the columns from the Morningstar website. So I'm going to assume you have watched those videos. If you have not, then I would suggest you go to Chapter 7 on the Activate Your Money website to do so. But you will be able to use Morningstar to fill in all of this information through load up to what I call the AYS scores. And the AYS scores are as you sow invest your values scores. And in the last couple of videos, you will have learned about as you sow, and you will have learned about as you sow in terms of how to identify what is in particular stock holdings. So I am going to stock fund holdings, excuse me. So I'm going to assume you've looked at some of that. And now I'm going to click through to the Public Equities Comparison tab because I use those two tools, the Morningstar tool and the As You Sow tool, to fill out this particular sheet. The top stock that's up here, and you will have noticed me using this in the last couple of videos, is once again the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, VTSAX. As I said before, this is a widely recognized fund. I owned this fund for a lot of years. I still have a little bit of it. I hang on to it because I like to use it for comparison purposes. But what I did was I literally went through the same kind of process that I described in the last video, where you would use as you sow to identify other types of holdings that were very similar to the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. And what I was looking for were US large cap blends. So I wanted everything that I was looking at to be the same kind of fund. These all basically use the Russell 1000 as their benchmark. So that's a similarity. I was also looking for funds that had somewhat similar expense ratios. The Vanguard Total Stock Market Index has the smallest fee of any. It's very, very small. But some of these others, like at 0.12%, 0.14%, even 0.20%, are also relatively small. The PAX Large Cap Fund is the outlier with a fee of almost 1%. I was also looking for funds that had low minimums. This Vanguard has a $3,000 minimum. Nothing else, only one other fund comes to that level. I was looking for funds that had relatively low turnovers. Again, the PAX large cap is an outlier here. And then I looked up their 1, 3, 5, and 10-year trailing performance results on Morningstar, and I looked up for funds that had no loads. This one doesn't have a load. That should say none there. And then I went into As You Sow, and I looked up their AUS scores. So what you can see here is that some of these funds are actually very competitive with the VTSAX. One that stands out in particular is the DFA US Sustainability Core. This has a slightly higher expense ratio, but a lower turnover, and it outperformed VTSAX in a 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year comparison. Even if you take some of the additional fee into consideration, you're not seeing a lot of change here. It's a little bit different when you look at the 10-year term, but by and large, this is a very similar fund, and it's doing far, far better in terms of its AYS scores. This, the Vanguard Total Stock Market Fund has F and D scores, and this fund is all B's and C's. The PAX Large Cap Fund, which has a higher fee and a higher turnover, which means there could be more tax implications on this particular fund in a given year, did much better than the Vanguard Total Stock Market Fund in a 1 year and in a 3-year term, even considering some of that extra fee. Now, it does not have the same level of track record, but what you see here is that this particular fund is doing extremely well in terms of the scores that it's getting from the As You Sow site. It gets all A's and B's. The E stands for the fact that there is one of the scores is a shield. And what the shield means in AYS is that this particular fund manager, i.e. PAX, is really a strong advocate in terms of shareholder advocacy and is doing a lot of that kind of work. So that is what that means in that particular area. It does a lot of shareholder advocacy. So this can give you a lot of information and help you really do as much of an apples to apples comparison between different types of stock funds as you can get. And you can make your own individual choices about what things are more important to you. Some people may determine that something like the DFA is their best bet because it gives a relatively good return here in terms of the values and does not differ that much from the Vanguard fund in terms of some of these other things. Whereas others may go for something like PAX and be willing to pay that higher fee because they feel that they're getting an outsized value return and they're still doing very well on the financial side. And there are also other funds like the ESG US Stock Fund ETF that we looked at earlier that is also in a 1-year situation outperforming the VTSAX, and again with a very low, relatively low fee. So this is just here for information purposes and to help you understand how you can make some of these assessments on your own. But doing the homework, doing the diligence, and making those determinations about what is most important to you, that is your responsibility, either to do alone with your financial advisor or with a group of your friends through an investment club. Once again, I hope you found this helpful, and I thank you for watching.